Do you want to see the world differently? Denzel Washington's motivational speech holds the key. It's not just inspiring, it's transformative. By learning how to read people without them knowing, you can build deeper connections and understand what's really going on beneath the surface. These lessons aren't just words. They're tools that can change your life. Stay with me because this isn't just about watching. It's about transforming the way you see, listen, and connect. This could be the moment everything starts to shift. Let me share a story with you. A story about a young man named Logan. Logan was sharp, quick thinking, and brimming with ambition. Yet, there was one thing he couldn't quite figure out: people. He'd walk into rooms filled with opportunities, sit in meetings with influential decision makers, and still, something felt amiss. He couldn't seem to read the room. The subtle, unspoken cues, the ones that reveal what people truly think and feel, slipped right past him. Words alone didn't give him the full picture, and because of that, moments that could have changed his life simply passed him by. Opportunities slid through his grasp like water through a sieve. One day, Logan met Mr. Bennett, an older man with silver hair and a gaze that could pierce through your very soul. Mr. Bennett wasn't just wise. He was observant in a way that felt almost magical. During one of their conversations, Mr. Bennett shared a piece of advice that shifted Logan's entire perspective. Logan, he said, if you want to make waves in this world, you have to master the art of understanding people. Not just their words, but their hearts, their fears, their desires. And you need to do it so effortlessly that they don't even realize you're doing it. Now, think about that for a moment. Imagine having the ability to truly connect with people, not just at a surface level, but so deeply that they feel like they've known you forever. Imagine walking into any room, any situation, and instantly understanding what's happening beneath the surface. How would that change your life? That's exactly what we're diving into today. I'm going to share 8 ways to understand people on a profound level without them even realizing it. And when you master this, the doors to incredible possibilities will open wide. Let's start with body language. The body never stops speaking, even when the mouth is silent. It's like an orchestra, constantly playing a symphony of signals. The trick is learning how to tune in and listen. Pay attention to the little things, the way someone sits, the tension in their shoulders, the tilt of their head. All of these small details tell a story. For instance, when someone leans in toward you, it's a sign of interest and engagement. They're drawn in, captivated by what you're saying. But when they lean away, that's a red flag. It signals discomfort, resistance, or a desire for more space. And let's not forget about the feet. They're the ultimate truth tellers. If someone's feet are pointed toward the door, they're already halfway out of the conversation, even if their words say otherwise. But this isn't about becoming a body language detective. You don't want to stare at people like Sherlock Holmes unraveling a mystery. No, it's about subtlety. A casual glance here, a mental note there. Over time, these observations will paint a vivid picture of what's truly happening beneath the surface. Imagine you're talking to someone, and while their words are friendly, their arms are crossed, their shoulders stiff, and their body angled away. What does that tell you? It screams disconnect. The words may flow easily, but their body tells a different story. And here's the thing, the body rarely lies. Body language isn't just about interpreting others. It's also about being mindful of what you project. Are you open and inviting? Do you exude confidence and calm? Or are you unknowingly coming across as guarded or defensive? Communication is a two-way street. The signals you send can be just as powerful as the ones you receive. Now, here's an essential tip. Context is everything. Sometimes crossed arms don't mean someone is closed off. They might simply be cold. Leaning away doesn't always indicate disinterest. It could mean they're being respectful of your space. The key is to look for Patterns. Don't focus on isolated gestures. Instead, observe clusters of behavior and the broader context. Once you start paying attention to body language, you'll notice it everywhere. In meetings, at social gatherings, even in films. Suddenly, the unspoken dynamics of human interaction will become crystal clear. It's like unlocking a secret layer of reality. You'll see the hidden stories playing out before your very eyes. But with this newfound understanding comes responsibility. This isn't about manipulation or playing mind games. It's about fostering deeper connections, practicing empathy, and understanding the people around you better. Use this knowledge with care and integrity. And now let's move to the eyes. You've heard the saying, the eyes are the window to the soul, and it couldn't be more accurate. A person's gaze can reveal their innermost thoughts, the emotions they're trying to hide, or the truths they don't speak aloud. Watch closely. Where someone's eyes wander when they're thinking or responding can give you clues about what's going on in their mind. It's like being given a backstage pass to someone's thoughts, emotions, and sometimes even their intentions. Let's break it down, starting with eye contact. When someone locks eyes with you, it's their way of saying, I'm here, I'm present, I'm engaged. Confidence, interest, focus, all of it can be conveyed through their gaze. But here's the trick, it needs to feel natural. If their eye contact is too intense, like they're drilling holes into your soul, it's no longer engagement, it's intimidation. On the other hand, if they're avoiding eye contact completely, that's a sign too. It might mean they're nervous, hiding something, or simply not interested. And then there are those darting eyes, constantly scanning the room like they're searching for an escape route. That's a clear clue. It could mean they're anxious, uncomfortable, or simply not fully present. It's like they're saying, I'm here, but not really. Pay attention to those little moments because they often reveal more than words ever will. And then there's the classic upward glance, looking up and slightly to the right. You've seen it before. It's like their thoughts are floating just above their head. What does it mean? It often signals creativity or imagination, sometimes even fabrication. They're visualizing something, piecing together a story or idea. It's not always a lie, but it's worth noting. The thing is, this isn't a staring contest. It's not about overpowering them with your gaze. Observing someone's eyes is a subtle art, not a science experiment. If you make it obvious, you risk coming across as awkward or invasive, which defeats the purpose. It's about glancing, noticing, and moving on, keeping the flow of the conversation intact. Now let's go a little deeper. Eyes don't just reflect focus. They're also an emotional window, often more honest than words. Are their eyes lighting up with excitement? Are they narrowing with frustration or doubt? Is there a flicker of sadness or the sparkle of joy? These micro-expressions flash across someone's face in a heartbeat. But if you're paying attention, you'll catch them. And when you do, it's like reading the unspoken part of the conversation, the layers beneath the surface. Think of it this way. The eyes are the ultimate storytellers. They reveal focus, emotion, and intent. When you learn to read them, you're not just hearing someone's words, you're understanding what they truly feel and think. It's like having a superpower. But, and this is important, don't let this make you cynical. Observing someone's eyes is about connection, not suspicion. It's about building understanding, not breaking trust. Use it to listen better, empathize more deeply, and engage more meaningfully. So, the next time you're talking to someone, pay attention to their eyes. Notice where they go, how they move, and what they reveal. You're not just having a conversation, you're connecting on a completely different level. And that's where the real magic happens. Now, let's talk about something just as powerful, their tone of voice. It's not only about the words people choose, it's how they deliver them. Tone is the unsung hero of communication. It's the rhythm, the melody, the undercurrent that carries the message. If you listen closely, you can pick up on emotions, intentions, and truths that aren't immediately obvious. Let's start with a soft tone. What does it suggest? Maybe it's hesitation, maybe nervousness, or maybe it's someone being careful, not wanting to stir things up. On the other end of the spectrum is the loud, confident voice. That feels like authority, doesn't it? But not always. Sometimes a loud voice isn't confidence, it's overcompensation. It's a shield, a way of saying, don't look too closely because I'm not as sure as I sound. Let's talk about pauses. Oh, the pauses, they're like the spaces between notes in a song. Are those pauses deliberate? That's someone thinking, reflecting, carefully weighing their words. But if the pauses feel shaky, scattered, or uncertain, that's hesitation. It's a sign that the person might not be fully sure about what they're saying or feeling. Tone, in all its beauty, is raw and unfiltered. It's the emotion behind the words. Words can lie, but tone doesn't. Tone reveals truth, and when you start listening for it, you'll notice details you never picked up on before, like that slight tremble in someone's voice when they're scared, or the sharp, cutting edge when they're angry but trying to keep it under wraps, or the steady, warm flow when they're speaking straight from the heart. Listening to tone, though, takes practice. It's not a skill you master in a day. You've got to really tune in, immerse yourself in the rhythm of the conversation. Hear the highs and lows, the crescendos and diminuendos, the harmony, and yes, even the discord. When you get good at this, it's like unlocking a whole new level. You stop hearing just the words. You hear the full symphony. Now let's make this practical. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention to the tone, not just the words, but how they're delivered. Are they speaking quickly? That might mean they're excited or maybe anxious. Are they speaking slowly, deliberately? That could mean they're being thoughtful or cautious. And if their tone suddenly shifts mid-conversation, that's your signal. Something has changed. Pay attention to those moments. They're often revealing. But it's not just about listening. It's about responding too. Use your tone to set the mood. If someone's angry, don't meet fire with fire. Stay calm, stay controlled. If someone's nervous, bring steadiness to the conversation with a reassuring tone. Your tone is a tool. It's a bridge that connects and communicates on a deeper level. Tone is the pulse of communication, the energy and soul behind what we say. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation, don't just hear the words. Feel the tone, sense the emotion, and listen to the music within the message. When you do that, you're no longer just hearing, you're understanding. And that's where the magic truly begins. Now let's focus on the hands. Oh, those silent storytellers, they often reveal more than words ever could. Hands have their own language. They show what's hidden beneath the surface, what's left unsaid, and what might be right in front of you. Let's start with a clenched fist. Tight, balled up fists are like waving red flags. They signal frustration, tension, or something being held back. Even if their mouth says everything's fine, their fists might tell a different story. On the other hand, open palms, now that's honesty. That's someone saying, I'm open, I've got nothing to hide. Open hands are like open doors, inviting you and instead of shutting you down. What about the hands during a conversation? Are they fidgeting, twirling a pen, tapping a table? That's nervous energy right there. It shows they might be uncomfortable, unsure, or try to distract themselves. But deliberate gestures, those purposeful movements that align perfectly with their words, that's confidence. That's someone who knows exactly what they're saying and why they're saying it. Here's a golden rule. When the words and the hand movements match, you've got harmony. That's authenticity. That's truth. But when they don't line up, when the words say one thing and the hands say another, that's your cue to dig deeper. Ask yourself, what's really going on here. Pay close attention to the small, subtle gestures too. A hand to the face might mean they're deep in thought, or maybe they're hiding something. Hands shoved into pockets? That's a classic sign of discomfort, maybe even emotional shielding. But context matters. You can't judge the hands on their own. You've got to take in the whole picture, the full story. And then, of course, there's the handshake. That timeless ritual of connection. A firm handshake speaks of confidence. A weak one? That might hint at insecurity or indifference. And if it's too strong, like they're trying to crush your hand, that's overcompensation, plain and simple. A handshake isn't just a greeting, it's a statement. It's a first impression that speaks volumes without uttering a single word. Let me share a little insider tip. Hands don't just show emotions, they send them out into the world too. If you're feeling nervous, keep your hands steady. If you want to radiate confidence, use purposeful, open gestures. Your hands can either support you or betray you, depending on how you handle them. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't just listen to what's being said. Watch the hands. Notice how they move, how they fidget, or how they rest. Because when you can read the language of hands, you're not just observing, you're understanding. And understanding is the cornerstone of true connection. Now let's talk about patterns. People are creatures of habit, aren't they? We all have our little routines, our rhythms, the ways we navigate life. You can see it in how we talk, how we walk, and even how we react to challenges or jokes. And if you pay close attention, really pay attention, you'll start to notice these patterns emerge. That's the key. Once you understand someone's pattern, you hold the secret to truly knowing them. And when that pattern shifts, it's your cue that something's different. Picture this. Someone who's always the life of the party, cracking jokes and filling the room with energy, suddenly goes quiet. You could brush it off as just a bad day. Or if you're really paying attention, you'll see it for what it is, a break in their usual rhythm, a sign that something's not quite right. Patterns are like fingerprints, unique to each person. When they change, it's a signal to look closer, to ask questions, to care. Now let's flip the script. Imagine someone who's usually calm and steady, like the eye of a storm. They're unshakable, always composed. But today you notice something different. They're tapping their foot, their hands won't stay still, or their voice has a sharpness you've never heard before. That's not random. That's agitation, stress, a red flag you shouldn't ignore. These shifts tell you something's brewing beneath the surface, and it's asking for your attention. Understanding patterns isn't about being intrusive. It's about awareness. It's about being present enough to notice what's normal for the people around you. Because when you know what's normal, you'll immediately see what's not. And that's where the real magic happens. That's how you start to connect with people on a deeper level. But it doesn't stop there. Patterns aren't just about behavior. They're about timing too. Maybe you have a coworker who's cheerful in the mornings, but short-tempered after lunch. Or a friend who's chatty and outgoing on weekends, but quiet and reserved during the week. These are patterns too. They offer insight into who someone is and what drives them. Now, don't think this means you have to be some kind of detective, analyzing every word and movement like Sherlock Holmes. It's not about suspicion. It's about connection. It's about recognizing that people are complex, layered, and yet still beautifully predictable in their own unique ways. When you take the time to learn someone's rhythms, you're not just looking at them, you're truly seeing them. Here's a little trick to take it a step further. Once you've gotten the hang of someone's patterns, you can use that knowledge to strengthen your relationship. You'll start to anticipate their needs, their moods, and their reactions. You could be the friend, the partner, or the colleague who's always one step ahead. And let me tell you, that creates something powerful. It builds trust. It earns respect. It deepens connections. So the next time you're with someone, slow down for a moment. Observe how they speak, how they move, how they respond to little things. Notice their nuances, their rhythms. It's not just about spotting when something feels off. It's about understanding what feels right, what's consistent, what's true to who they are. Because when you understand someone's patterns, you're no longer just seeing the surface. You're seeing their essence. Now let's dive into one of the most overlooked tools in building genuine connections: mirroring. It's like stepping into someone's rhythm, syncing with their energy, and silently saying, "I understand you." Mirroring isn't about copying someone. It's about creating a subtle harmony, a connection that feels natural. It's when you reflect their gestures, tone, or pace of speech. Imagine this: you're deep in conversation, and the other person leans in, locking eyes with you. What do? You lean in too, just enough to mirror their posture. If their voice softens, you lower yours to match. If their hands move energetically, painting invisible pictures in the air, you add a touch of animation to your own gestures. It's not mimicry, it's alignment. The beauty of mirroring lies in its primal power. It taps into something instinctive, something that makes people feel at ease. When you mirror someone's behavior, you're sending a quiet but powerful message: I'm with you. I get you. This unspoken bond can create a level of understanding that words alone can't achieve. And let me tell you, when someone feels truly understood, something magical happens. But here's the catch. Like seasoning in a recipe, a little goes a long way. Overdo it, and it stops feeling natural. If it's too obvious, the other person might notice and feel uncomfortable, wondering, why are they copying me? The key is to make it seamless, as if the two of you are simply fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. This isn't just about body language or tone. It's about rhythm too. If someone speaks slowly, thoughtfully, you match their pace. You don't rush ahead like you're in a race. If they're energetic and quick, you pick up the tempo. By syncing with their pace, you show that you're tuned in, that you're truly present in the moment with them. And here's the next level. Mirroring isn't only for personal conversations. It's a tool for leadership and influence. Picture yourself in a meeting with people bringing different energies to the table. By mirroring the dominant tone, whether it's calm and measured or lively and upbeat, you can guide the atmosphere. You can create alignment, a shared rhythm that unifies the group. Great leaders, communicators, and even performers have mastered this technique because it works. It's a way of saying, I see you, I hear you, I'm here with you. So, the next time you're in a conversation, try it. Lean in when they lean in, match their tone, their pace, their energy, reflect their gestures in subtle, natural ways. Then watch what happens. See how the connection deepens, how barriers dissolve, and how the conversation starts to flow effortlessly. When you master mirroring, you're not just talking, you're truly connecting. And connection, my friends, is where real power lives. Now let's talk about something even more subtle: reading between the lines. What someone doesn't say often speaks louder than their words. Life, after all, isn't just about the spoken, it's about the unspoken. It's in the pauses, the silences, the spaces where truths hide. To truly understand, you need to sharpen your senses and listen to what's left unsaid. Take this classic example. You ask someone, "How was your day?" And they reply, "It was fine." On the surface, it sounds like everything's okay, right? But listen closely. Is their tone flat, devoid of life, lacking any spark? Look at their body language. Are their arms crossed, their shoulders slumped, their gaze averted? That's not fine. That's a quiet plea for someone to notice them, to ask, what's really going on? It's a whisper saying, I need to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And then there's silence. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the presence of something deeper. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's pain, Or perhaps it's the weight of a truth they're not ready to share. Silence can feel heavy, but it's revealing if you're patient enough to sit with it. It has a language all its own, and it speaks volumes if you're willing to listen. Hesitation is another signal to watch for. You ask a question, and there's a pause. It's brief, maybe half a second, but it's there. That tiny moment can say so much. Are they unsure? Are they afraid of giving the wrong answer? Or are they deciding how much truth they're ready to share? That hesitation is a glimpse into their inner world, a clue to their thoughts and feelings. If you pay close attention, you'll find that everything you need to know is already there. But let me make something clear. Reading between the lines isn't about suspicion. It's not about catching someone in a lie or exposing their secrets. It's about understanding. It's about empathy. It's about recognizing that people are complicated and layered, and sometimes they don't even know how to express what they're feeling. Your role isn't to judge. It's to listen, really listen to what's being said and what's left unsaid. Let's talk about asking follow-up questions. If someone gives you a quick, vague answer, don't just let it slide. Gently nudge them to go a little deeper. Say something like, "Fine, that doesn't sound too convincing. Do you want to talk about it?" Or, "You seem a little off today. What's on your mind?" Often, people just need a signal, a little reassurance that it's safe to open up. When you become that safe space, you're not only building trust, but also creating a connection that matters. Body language, tone, silence, hesitation, these are the clues. They're breadcrumbs that lead you to the truth at someone's core. They might not always be obvious, but they're always there if you're paying attention. When you learn to read between the lines, you're not just talking, you're building bridges. You're seeing people for who they truly are. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't just hear the words. Tune into the pauses. Watch the way their body moves. Feel the tone behind their voice. Read between the lines, because it's in those unspoken spaces that the real stories live. And when you uncover those stories, you're no longer just communicating, you're truly connecting. Now let's dive into intuition. That little voice inside of you, the one that whispers from a place deeper than logic and louder than reason. That's your intuition. It's the feeling that tells you something's off, or the one that assures you, this person is the real deal. And let me tell you, that voice is worth listening to. Intuition is like a compass, guiding you in the right direction even when the path ahead isn't clear. It's what lets you walk into a room and instantly sense the energy, whether it's warm and welcoming or tense and unsteady. It's always giving you valuable information if you're willing to listen. Here's the thing. Intuition isn't a magical crystal ball. It's not perfect, but it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the sharper it gets. You have to trust it, exercise it, and let it guide you. And when you combine your gut instincts with your observations, the patterns you notice, and the tones you hear, you're creating a powerful tool. It's like putting together a puzzle. Each piece, from intuition to analysis, forms a bigger picture. That picture is the truth. Let's be clear though, reading people and trusting your intuition isn't about manipulation. It's not about control or playing mind games. It's about connection, real, authentic connection. It's about understanding people so you can better serve them, lead them, and communicate with them. It's about empathy, about seeing someone for who they truly are and meeting them where they are. When you take the time to truly understand someone, you're able to inspire and influence, not through force, but through truth. By being genuine, by showing them that you're not there to take something from them, but to add value to their life. And here's another thing, trusting your intuition isn't just about others. It's about trusting yourself. It's about believing in your ability to read a situation, to sense what's unspoken, and to understand what's unseen. It takes confidence. It takes courage. But when you lean into that inner voice, you step into your own power. Think about the great leaders, the exceptional communicators, and the most impactful influencers. They all have one thing in common. They trust their gut. They've learned to listen to that quiet voice that says, "This is the way." They've honed their instincts and used them to make decisions that don't just change their lives. They change the lives of those around them. So here's my challenge to you. Start listening to your intuition. Pay attention to that little nudge, that whisper that tells you which way to go. Start trusting yourself, because when you do, you're not just moving through the world, you're mastering it. You're building connections with people on a level that goes far beyond words. And that, my friends, is where the magic truly happens. The next time you step into a room, remember Logan, remember Mr. Bennett's advice, and remember these 8 tools. Use them with intention, with empathy, and with purpose. The world doesn't need more people who just talk. It needs more people who can listen, observe, and understand. Because the art of reading people isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. And now, that power is in your hands. Use it wisely. Let me share how I've applied the lessons from Denzel Washington's speech in my own life. A moment where understanding people, trusting intuition, and truly connecting made all the difference. A few years ago, I found myself leading a team at a new job. Everyone seemed motivated, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Inspired by Denzel's reminder to look beyond the surface and pay attention to the unspoken, I made it my mission to understand my team, not just as co-workers, but as people. The first step was practicing what he emphasized, reading between the lines. In our first team meeting, I noticed one member, Sarah, who was quieter than the rest. She answered questions, but didn't engage much beyond that. At first glance, it seemed like she was just shy or uninterested. But something about the way she kept her arms crossed and avoided eye contact told me otherwise. Instead of letting it slide, I decided to follow up later. After the meeting, I casually asked her, "Hey, you seemed a bit quiet earlier. Is everything okay? Or is there something on your mind?" She hesitated for a moment, a pause that spoke louder than her eventual "No, I'm fine." I didn't push right away, but assured her, "If there's ever anything you'd like to share, I'm here to listen." That one small nudge eventually led to a more honest conversation later on, where she opened up about feeling overwhelmed by a big project. This experience taught me the value of silence and hesitation as tools to better connect with others. What someone doesn't say often reveals more than what they do. By simply noticing the subtle clues and creating a safe space, I built trust with Sarah, and over time, she became one of the most engaged and vocal members of our team. Another key moment came when I started practicing mirroring to build rapport. During a brainstorming session, I saw how John, another teammate, used big gestures to express his excitement about an idea. Instead of staying reserved, I leaned into his energy, matching his enthusiasm with open gestures of my own and nodding along as he spoke. It wasn't about copying him, but creating a rhythm that made him feel understood and valued. By the end of that session, John shared more ideas than he had in weeks, and I realized just how powerful subtle synchronization can be in making someone feel comfortable. Another key moment came when I started practicing mirroring to build rapport. During a brainstorming session, I saw how John, another teammate, used big gestures to express his excitement about an idea. Instead of staying reserved, I leaned into his energy, matching his enthusiasm with open gestures of my own and nodding along as he spoke. It wasn't about copying him, but creating a rhythm that made him feel understood and valued. By the end of that session, John shared more ideas than he had in weeks, and I realized just how powerful subtle synchronization can be in making someone feel comfortable. But the most profound lesson was learning to trust my intuition. One day, during a meeting with our department head, I sensed a shift in the tone of the conversation. The words sounded encouraging, but there was something off, a tension in their voice that didn't align with their praise. My gut told me that changes were coming, even though nothing explicit was said. I didn't wait for formal announcements. I prepared my team, ensuring we had our projects organized and ready to adapt. Sure enough, a week later, we were asked to pivot our focus completely. Because I trusted my instincts, we transitioned smoothly, and my team felt confident rather than blindsided. These moments solidified what I learned from Denzel Washington's message. Understanding people goes far beyond their words. It's about reading their actions, their silences, and their energy. Mirroring isn't about imitation, but about creating a connection so natural that it feels effortless. And intuition? It's a guide you can't afford to ignore. Now, here's the challenge for you. Start practicing these tools in your own life. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention to what's not being said. Notice the tone, the pauses, and the body language. Trust your intuition when something doesn't feel quite right or when it feels perfectly aligned. Take action based on what you sense and see how it transforms your relationships, your leadership, and even your own self-awareness. And if you found value in these insights, don't stop here. There's so much more to explore and learn together. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that's all about growth, understanding, and connecting on a deeper level. Let's keep the conversation going, and let's keep growing.